what we have right here is a 1994 Yamaha Waverunner 3GP. Now, you might be saying, isn't that the same jet ski that you just did a review on? It is, except this might possibly be the worst Waverunner 3GP in existence. Now I say that because you see all these videos of, abandoned cars being revived and, things that sat and were put in a storage barn and come back from the dead. Well, this machine was last registered in 2017. So for those of you without 5 fingers on a hand, that's 5 years that this thing has been since it was last registered. Now, I know a little bit of history on this. I know that it was underwater for almost a year. And then I know it sat in a trash heap for almost a year out of the water. So then the original owners were contacted and they said they had sold it years prior and somebody new owned it and evidently had never registered it. So there's nothing on file because they never turned in the bill of sale to pay tax and yada yada blah blah blah. So this thing was abandoned, truly abandoned, underwater, floating in a cove until it was recovered and set somewhere. Now, the big problem with these is, if you've watched my video on unsinking a TR1 Yamaha, which is much newer than this, one of the biggest things that I stress is time. Time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. And time is of the essence too. But what ends up happening is the piston rings, which are also some sort of ferrous metal, and the cylinder walls are ferrous metal, and you get water in there, then you take some of the water out either through evaporation or flipping the thing over, pulling it up out of the lake. Air gets in there. Water, air, and ferrous metals makes rust. So I am quite certain that this machine will be a complete write-off, but we're going to pull the cylinder head off, and I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, and we may just resurrect this thing. So let's pop the seats off, get into where the engine's at, and take a look at this thing. Okay, there, you can kind of see at least see my hands. So first thing I notice is this electrical box is all sorts of taken apart here, and it's also very rusty. So this obviously was full with water up to here. You can see a water line. This is the CDI box, which this is an aftermarket unit, which makes me wonder if they placed some stuff, we're trying to get this running, couldn't, and then sunk it to get rid of it. It's a possibility. Who knows? Ultimately, we're going to need to see, we're going to have to hook up all these wires, figure out how they go, where they go, if they're completely corroded and no good, or if there's any chance that any part of it might be salvageable. But first, let's dig into this engine just a little bit. So that's actually a little bit encouraging. Both of the plugs actually look kind of oily and clean, like they're rusty on the outside, but is there some way that oil or that water didn't make it into this engine and this thing will run again? That would be crazy. What is that? The weather stripping or something? All right, so these look like 14s. Let's snag these things off of here. All right, you're seeing this for the first time too. Haven't even peeked. Pulled all the bolts out. Temp sensor, exhaust, so we could have a nice clear view. And how does it look? Not too bad. Boy, that is incredible. It really, a little bit of rust in there, but it's got enough of a coating of oil, this thing might just run. I'm going to throw a battery in this and just see. Well, it turns. Wasn't intending on taking a shower this early in the day, and probably neither were you, but look at the camera lens. But it does turn over. The bottom end is full of water. So we're going to have to find a way to empty that out that's maybe a little less violent, because that went across 2 bays in the shop. That's impressive. All right, so I've done a little bit of stuff off camera here, including replacing the entire electrical box, which is like 6 bullet connectors. Very simple. I tested the stator. Stator was good. The start solenoid and CDI box were shot on the old one, which is sitting right here. I pulled the CDI box out to test it, and I mean, it's no surprise. The thing was underwater for a year, so I picked this up on eBay for 150 bucks for the whole thing, coil, regulator, the whole 9 yards, even all the wires and spark plug wires and stuff, all just 150 bucks shipped to my door. Figured, how can you go wrong? So I've got it connected. I had to clean up above. The kill switch was not making contact, so I took that apart, cleaned it. Let's see if there is any chance at all that this is going to even make a cough or sputter or anything now. I've got a little 2-cycle gas here that we can just kind of write down the carb, because I guarantee you that carburetor isn't going to be carbureting anything at all. So now we've got spark. We've got everything we should need. Let's see if this thing will make a little noise. I don't know if I should do a Vice Grip Garage quote here. Bring the thunder. I don't think it'll help, but let's just see. Did you hear that? That was a little cough. It was a big cough. Now the throttle cable's busted, so I can pull that over here. Maybe a little more gas. Got no gas in it, I know that. Probably just pumping water in. If that carb is doing anything, it is a detriment to our end goal here. Let's see. It is coughing an oily schmoo out here. I think she's gonna go. All right. Let's give her a little shot more fuel. Although maybe I'm flooding it. I don't know. I think a little fuel will help spit that stuff out. Boy, we're getting close. I'm going to put the exhaust back together because now that the starter works and we've got a little bit of fire in there, inside the engine, I mean, not in the hull, although we have had both. A little bit of heat into there tells us we've got the water out for the most part. So we can put the exhaust back on and actually run the thing for longer. Now, basically my next step is going to be put the exhaust on, pull the carb off because that carb is going to be in rough shape. I'm going to have to drain the fuel tank if there's even anything in it still. Either way, I'm going to attempt draining it. And then from there, put some fresh gas in it, rebuild the carb, and fix our throttle lever that's not attached. And then we're going to take the thing to the lake. So, let's do that stuff. Well, regardless, that should be enough to get us some sort of action out of this thing. Okay. Throttle here. Ready? Recording? Yep. All right. Not getting any crank in here. There's something related to this fuse by chance, because we didn't have this in here. Oh, it's not popped all the way together. It also seems like it's wet. Let's try that now. Yep, okay. All right, here we go. Well, there's still some water in the exhaust. I can see we got an exhaust leak here somewhere. Looks like that might just be right here. Let's see if we can... Where'd my screwdriver go? Just had the screwdriver and then it vanished. All right, try it again with that on, see if we got any other obvious exhaust leaks right offhand. Ta-da! I'm not sure if I really introduced this Waverunner 3, how I feel about it now. Initially, when I started this project, I thought, no way is this thing ever going to run again. It's been underwater a year, it's sat out of the water for a year, everything's going to be so rusted, so corroded, it's going to be seized tight as a drum. Well, folks, you've seen it. You saw it here. This thing runs. I'm a little bit dumbfounded. I guess if this is something that everybody enjoys watching, next time I'm putting a carburetor on this thing. I don't know whether I'm going to rebuild this one or just replace it because Aftermarket carburetors have become more readily available. Maybe we'll give one of them a try and see how it performs on this thing. I don't know. It blows my mind. I don't honestly have any idea what to say at this point, but this 1994 Waverunner 3 GP that sat underwater, was recovered from the lake, runs. And it sounds pretty healthy, all things considered. I'm impressed. So let me know if you enjoyed watching this, and we'll get started on the next project before you know it. Thanks for watching.